The sound of Mia's fork scraping against her plate made my teeth ache, but it wasn't the noise that bothered me. It was watching my 10-year-old cousin push her food around, untouched, while my Aunt Sonia knocked back her third glass of wine. I'm Vivian, and I've spent too many Sunday dinners like this one, watching history repeat itself in the worst possible way. Mia, honey, aren't you hungry? I asked, trying to keep my voice light. The girl's dark circles told stories her mother wouldn't want anyone to hear. I'm fine, Mia mumbled, not meeting my eyes. Her shoulders hunched forward, making her already tiny frame look even smaller in her wrinkled uniform, the same one she'd worn to school 3 days ago. She's just being difficult, Sonia interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. All she does lately is mope around, just like her father before he left. I gripped my napkin under the table. Maybe she's tired. It's pretty late for a school night. Oh, please. Sonia rolled her eyes. Don't start with the parenting advice, Vivian. Not everyone can be as perfect as you. I'm not. I started, but my sister Lara kicked me under the table. Her warning look said it all. Don't make a scene. The ceiling fan whirred above us, pushing around stale air in Sonia's neglected dining room. A stack of unpaid bills peeked out from under a vase of wilted flowers. The whole house felt like it was holding its breath. Can I be excused? Mia asked quietly. Whatever, Sonia muttered, already reaching for the wine bottle again. Just keep it down. I have a headache. Mia slipped away like a shadow, and I counted to 10 in my head before speaking. She needs help with homework. I'll check on her. I found Mia in her room, sitting cross-legged on an unmade bed. The walls were bare except for a single photo, Mia and me at the beach last summer, both grinning with ice cream-stained faces. Hey, kiddo. I sat beside her, the mattress creaking under our combined weight. Rough day? She shrugged, picking at a loose thread on her skirt. Mum forgot to wash my other uniforms again. I could take them home and— No! Mia's eyes widened with panic. She'll get mad if she thinks I complained. My heart cracked a little more. What about breakfast? Did you eat this morning? Another shrug. There wasn't anything. It's okay, though. Jessica at school shares her lunch sometimes. I heard glass breaking downstairs, followed by Sonia's sharp laugh and Lara's murmured response. Some things never changed, except now there was a child caught in the crossfire. Listen, I said, pulling out my phone. I'm putting my number in your favorites. Any time, day or night, you call me if you need anything, promise? Mia nodded, but her eyes darted toward the door. She's coming. Sure enough, Sonia's unsteady footsteps approached. I quickly stood up, trying to look casual as she appeared in the doorway. What's this little meeting about? Sonia's words slurred slightly. Telling tales about Mommy? Just helping with math homework, I lied smoothly. Right. Sonia's laugh was bitter. Saint Vivienne, always trying to save everyone. Why don't you focus on your own sad, empty life instead of interfering with mine? Mom, please, Mia whispered. Bed now. Sonia pointed at Mia. And you, she turned to me. Get out of my house. I hesitated, looking at Mia. She gave me a tiny nod, our secret signal that she'd be okay. For tonight, at least. Downstairs, Lara was already gathering her things. Don't, she warned as I opened my mouth. Not here. We stepped into the cool night air and I waited until we reached my car before exploding. We can't keep pretending this is okay. What do you want to do? Lara asked, tiredly. Call CPS again. They've been here 3 times and nothing's changed. Then we try something else. My hands shook as I gripped the steering wheel. I won't let her grow up like we did. I can't. Through the upstairs window, I saw Mia's small figure at the glass. She raised her hand in a wave, and something inside me solidified into steel. I'm getting her out, I said. Whatever it takes. Lara's sharp intake of breath told me she understood exactly what I meant. Viv, think about what you're saying. The family drama, the legal battles. Look at her, Lara. I nodded toward the window where Mia's silhouette had disappeared into darkness. Tell me she deserves this life. My sister said nothing, but her silence spoke volumes. As I started the car, my phone buzzed with a text from Mia. Thank you for coming tonight. 3 simple words that made my decision final. Whatever storm was coming, I was ready to weather it. For Mia, I would move mountains, or tear them down completely. "You're out of your mind," Lara said, pacing my kitchen the next morning. Her coffee sat untouched, growing cold. "Taking Sonia to court, she'll destroy you." I pulled up my laptop, already typing custody lawyers near me, into the search bar. "She can try. This isn't like when we were kids, Viv. You can't just swoop in and fix everything." "Watch me." I clicked through profiles, making notes. "Remember when she locked us in that closet for hours because we ruined her date night by existing?" Lara's face paled. "That was different." "Was it?" I spun my laptop around, showing her a photo from my phone. "Look at this. I took it last week when I picked Mia up from school. Same uniform 3 days straight. No lunch. Teacher's note about falling asleep in class." "Maybe she's just going through a phase." The sharp ring of my phone cut her off. Mia's name flashed on the screen. "Vivian." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Are you awake?" I checked the time, 6:45 a.m. "What's wrong, sweetie?" "Mom didn't come home last night." A pause, then. "I'm hungry." Lara watched my face darken as I grabbed my keys. "I'll be there in 10 minutes. Is the spare key still under the pot?" "Yes." "But," Mia's voice cracked, "what if she comes back while you're here?" "Then we'll deal with it. Lock your door until I get there." I ended the call and turned to Lara. "Still think it's just a phase?" She grabbed her purse. "I'm coming with you." The drive to Sonia's house was tense. When we pulled up, I noticed empty wine bottles scattered across the front porch. The morning paper lay untouched in the dewy grass. Mia opened the door before we reached it, still in her pajamas. Her hair was a tangled mess, her eyes red-rimmed. "When did she leave?" I asked, following her into the kitchen. "After you guys." She said she was meeting friends. Mia climbed onto a counter stool while I rummaged through nearly empty cabinets. I fell asleep waiting. Lara started cleaning dishes in the sink. "Did she call?" Mia shook her head. "Her phone goes straight to voicemail." I finally found some eggs and bread that hadn't expired. "How about French toast?" For the first time that morning, Mia smiled. "With cinnamon?" "Extra cinnamon," I promised, heating up the pan. "And while it cooks, maybe you can help me understand something." "What?" "How often does this happen? Your mum going out all night?" Mia's smile faded. She picked at a loose thread on her sleeve, a nervous habit I recognized from my own childhood. "Sometimes," she mumbled. "More since Dad left." Lara stopped washing dishes, her back stiffening. I kept my voice gentle. "And what do you do when she's gone?" "Wait, try to sleep." Mia's eyes filled with tears. "Sometimes I pretend I'm at your house instead." The front door slammed open before I could respond. Sonia stumbled in, mascara smeared under her eyes, still wearing last night's clothes. "What the hell is this?" she slurred, gripping the doorframe. "Breaking into my house?" "Mia called us," I said, stepping between them. "She was alone all night." "Mind your own business." Sonia lurched forward. "Mia, go to your room." "She hasn't eaten yet," I argued. "I said go to your room." Mia slipped off the stool, shooting me a desperate look before disappearing upstairs. "Get out," Sonia hissed. "Both of you." "Or what?" I stepped closer. "You'll call the cops? Tell them how you left your 10-year-old daughter alone all night while you got drunk?" "You bitter, jealous bitch." Sonia laughed harshly. "Still can't stand that your mother chose me over you, can you?" Lara grabbed my arm as I tensed. "Viv, don't." "That's right," Sonia taunted. "Listen to your sister. Leave my family alone." "Family?" I yanked free from Lara's grip. "You don't deserve that word, and you don't deserve Mia." "Threats now?" Sonia's eyes narrowed. "Try it. See what happens." My phone buzzed. A text from Mia upstairs. "Please don't leave me." "This isn't over," I promised, heading for the door. Lara followed, shooting worried glances between us. Outside, the morning sun felt too bright, too cheerful for what had just happened. I could hear Sonia throwing something inside, her muffled curses carrying through the walls. "Now do you understand?" I asked Lara. "I'm calling Nadine today." "Your lawyer friend?" Lara bit her lip. "Viv, this could get ugly." It's already ugly. I started the car, my hands steady despite the rage burning in my chest. The difference is, now I'm going to do something about it. As we pulled away, I saw Mia watching from her window again. This time, when she waved, I made a silent promise. Hold on, kiddo. Help is coming. Nadine's office smelled like coffee and determination. She studied the photos I'd spread across her desk, Mia's unwashed uniforms, the empty kitchen cabinets. Sonia passed out on the couch while Mia did homework alone. You've been documenting everything? Nadine asked, shuffling through the evidence. For months. I pulled out my phone. I have videos too, and texts from Mia. Smart. Nadine leaned back in her chair. But custody cases are messy, Viv, especially when you're going against a biological parent. I know the odds. I met her eyes. I also know you've won cases with less. She smiled slightly. True, but... A knock interrupted us. Nadine's assistant poked her head in. Sorry, but there's someone here insisting on seeing Ms. Garcia. Says he's a neighbour. My heart dropped. Tall guy, dark hair. That's him. Reed, I sighed. He lives next door. His daughter plays with Mia sometimes. Nadine raised an eyebrow. Want me to send him away? No, let him in. I'd been avoiding him since Sunday's disaster. Might as well face the music. Reed entered, looking apologetic. Sorry to interrupt, I've been trying to reach you. I know. I gestured to the chair beside me. Sit. This is Nadine, my lawyer. Lawyer? Reed's expression shifted from concerned to alarmed. Is this about Sunday? Because I heard the shouting and I was worried. You heard. My face burned. Half the neighbourhood did. He ran a hand through his hair. Look, I know it's none of my business, but Mia's been coming over more lately. Sophie, my daughter. She tells me things. Nadine leaned forward. What kind of things? That Mia's often hungry, sometimes scared. Reed looked at me. Last week she slept over because her mom didn't come home. I wanted to say something, but it's complicated, I finished. Not anymore. Nadine pulled out a legal pad. Mr. Reed Davidson. Mr. Davidson, would you be willing to make a formal statement about what you've witnessed? He nodded without hesitation. Whatever helps Mia. My phone buzzed. Another text from Lara. Sonia's looking for a lawyer too. She knows something's up. We need to move fast, I told Nadine, before she can hide anything. Already on it. Nadine typed rapidly on her computer. I'm filing for emergency temporary custody today. Reed's statement will help, especially since he's an unbiased witness. Unbiased? Reed's laugh was soft. Hardly. I've seen how Vivienne is with Mia. How she drops everything to help, brings groceries, checks homework. He turned to me. You're more of a mother to that girl than Sonia ever was. Something warm flickered in my chest, but before I could respond, my phone rang. Mia's ringtone. Hey, kiddo. Aren't you in school? I'm in the nurse's office. Her voice trembled. Mum forgot to pack lunch again, and I got dizzy in PE. I was already standing, gathering my things. I'll be right there. No. Mia's whisper turned urgent. Mum said if I called you again, she'd send me to live with Dad in Oregon. The room went silent. Reed's face darkened. Nadine started writing furiously. Mia! I kept my voice steady. Your dad left the country 3 years ago. He's in Australia, remember? A pause. But she said, she lied, sweetie. Stay in the nurse's office. I'm coming. I ended the call, hands shaking with rage. There's your evidence, Nadine. She's using threats now. This is good, Nadine said, still writing. Well, not good, but useful. Reed, can you sign this statement now? We'll file everything this afternoon. He grabbed a pen. Whatever you need. I'll drive you to the school, Reed offered as we left Nadine's office. You're in no state to drive. He was right. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. In his car, Reed glanced at me. You know, Sophie asks about Mia every day. Wants her to live with us instead. Us? Well, near us. In your house. He smiled slightly. The girls have it all planned out. Sleepovers every weekend. Matching room decorations. Despite everything, I laughed. They're getting ahead of themselves. Maybe. Reed stopped at a red light. Or maybe they see what's right more clearly than we do. The school came into view and my humour faded. This is going to get worse before it gets better, isn't it? Probably. Reed parked the car. But you're not in it alone anymore. I looked at him, really looked, and saw the same determination I felt. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. He nodded toward the school entrance where Sonia's car had just pulled up. The storm's about to hit. I took a deep breath and opened the door, then let it come. The courthouse hallway buzzed with tension. Sonia sat across from me wearing a dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent, her hair and makeup perfect. The mask of the devoted mother. All rise, the bailiff called. Judge Morris entered, her eyes sharp as she surveyed the room. Nadine squeezed my hand before we stood. Custody hearing for minor child Mia Olsen, the judge announced. I understand we have an emergency petition. Sonia's lawyer, a slick man in an expensive suit, spoke first. Your Honour, this is a frivolous claim by a distant relative trying to break up a loving family. Loving? Nadine stood. We have documented evidence of neglect spanning months. Circumstantial, Sonia's lawyer countered. My client is a single mother doing her best. Her best? I couldn't help myself. She left her 10-year-old alone all night. Ms. Garcia, Judge Morris warned. Please address the court through your counsel. Nadine pulled out our evidence files. Your Honour, we have witness statements, school records, and photographic evidence of ongoing neglect. The judge reviewed the materials, her frown deepening. Sonia leaned over to whisper something to her lawyer. We call Mia's teacher Ms. Roberts, Nadine announced. The teacher took the stand, looking nervous but determined. Mia often comes to school in unwashed uniforms. She falls asleep in class regularly and rarely has lunch. And has Ms. Olsen responded to your concerns? She doesn't answer calls or attend parent meetings. Sonia's lawyer stood. Perhaps Ms. Olsen works hard to provide for her daughter. Not everyone can afford designer clothes. She spent $3,000 on a purse last month, I muttered. Nadine shot me a warning look. Next witness, Judge Morris called. Reed approached the stand, looking more formal than I'd ever seen him. He described finding Mia alone late at night, the times she came to his house hungry. And you live next door? The judge asked. Yes, Your Honour. My daughter and Mia are close friends, Sonia's lawyer pounced. How close are you with Ms. Garcia? Objection, Nadine stood. Relevance. I'm establishing potential bias, Your Honour. I'll allow it. Reed met my eyes briefly. We're neighbours. Friends. Just friends? The lawyer smirked. No romantic involvement that might motivate false testimony. My testimony is true, Reed said firmly, and my concern is for Mia's welfare. The morning dragged on with more witnesses. School nurses, neighbours. Each account made Sonia's face darker with rage. Then came the surprise I'd been dreading. We call Lara Garcia to the stand. My sister walked forward, not meeting my eyes. Sonia looked triumphant. Ms. Garcia, her lawyer began. Tell us about your sister's childhood. Objection, Nadine stood. Relevance. Goes to character, Your Honour. Proceed. Lara gripped the stand. What do you want to know? Did your sister have trouble with authority, rebellion, violence? My stomach dropped. They were going to bring up the incident. Vivian protected me, Lara said quietly, when we lived with Sonia after our mom left. Please answer the question. Yes, Lara's voice cracked. She got into fights, but only because she was violent? Unstable? No, Lara's composure broke. Because Sonia locked us in closets. Because she'd leave us alone for days. Because when I was Mia's age, Vivian was the only one who made sure I ate. The courtroom fell silent. Judge Morris leaned forward. Are you saying Ms. Olsen abused you as children? Objection, Sonia's lawyer shouted. These are unfounded accusations from decades ago. They're true, Lara continued, tears streaming now. And she's doing the same thing to Mia. The only difference is this time, Vivian can actually do something about it. Sonia stood up, screaming, You ungrateful little... Order! Judge Morris banged her gavel. Ms. Olsen, control yourself or I'll have you removed. Nadine handed the judge another file. We have police reports from that period, Your Honor. Never prosecuted because the girls were too afraid to testify. I watched Sonia's perfect mask crack. She lunged toward Lara, but bailiffs stepped between them. "This is a setup," she shrieked. "They're lying. I'm a good mother." "Remove Ms. Olson," Judge Morris ordered. As they led Sonia out, she turned to me. "Court will recess for 1 hour while I review these new materials." In the hallway, Lara collapsed into my arms. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I couldn't let her win again." "Don't be sorry." I held her tight, feeling 16 again, protecting my little sister. "You did good." Reed appeared with water bottles and tissues. "You okay?" Before I could answer, Nadine rushed over. "Judge wants to see us in chambers. Now." I looked at Lara, then Reed. "Whatever happens, go," they said together. Walking toward the judge's chambers, I heard Sonia's voice echo down the hall. "I'll destroy you for this." But for the first time since this started, I wasn't afraid. The truth was finally coming out, and no amount of designer dresses or expensive lawyers could hide it anymore. Judge Morris's chambers felt smaller than I expected. She gestured for Nadine and me to sit, while Sonia's lawyer hovered by the door. "Off the record," the judge began, removing her glasses. "Ms. Garcia, are you prepared for what temporary custody would mean?" "Absolutely. It's not just about providing a home." She leaned forward. "There will be trauma, therapy, school adjustments. Your life will change completely." "It already has." I met her gaze. The moment I realized history was repeating itself. A knock interrupted us. The bailiff entered, looking concerned. "Your Honor, Ms. Olson is making a scene in the lobby. News crews are arriving." "Of course they are," Nadine muttered. We followed Judge Morris back to the courtroom, where the tension had shifted. Sonia stood before a small crowd of reporters, tears streaming perfectly down her cheeks. "They're trying to steal my baby," she sobbed. "I'm just a single mother doing my best, and they're punishing me for working hard to provide for my daughter." The cameras ate it up. Lara grabbed my arm as we passed. "She's playing the victim. Again." "Let her," I said, but my stomach churned. Back in session, Sonia's performance continued. "I admit I'm not perfect," she sniffled, "but I love my daughter. These allegations are just jealous attacks from people who don't understand how hard it is." Her lawyer presented character witnesses, her hairdresser, a grocery store clerk, even her yoga instructor, all testifying to what a devoted mother she appeared to be. Then came the bomb. "Your Honor," Sonia's lawyer announced, "we have evidence that Ms. Garcia's interest in custody is financially motivated." "What?" I whispered to Nadine. He produced documents with a flourish. "Mia's father left a substantial trust fund, one that becomes accessible to her legal guardian." The courtroom erupted in whispers. Judge Morris banged her gavel. "Order! This is ridiculous," Nadine argued. "My client wasn't even aware of any trust fund." "Really?" Sonia's lawyer smirked. "Then why did she access trust fund documents 3 months ago?" My blood ran cold. I had looked up those documents, not for money, but trying to locate Mia's father in Australia. But how did they know? "Someone's been watching you," Nadine whispered. The door burst open. Reed rushed in, holding his phone. "Your Honor, I have something you need to see." "This is highly irregular," Sonia's lawyer protested. "Approach," Judge Morris ordered. Reed played a video, security footage from his home camera. It showed Sonia stumbling up my driveway at midnight, trying to break into my house. The timestamp was last night. "She's been stalking my client," Nadine said, "attempting burglary." "I was concerned," Sonia shouted. "She's poisoning my daughter against me." "By providing food and clean clothes," I stood up. "By being there when you're not?" "Ms. Garcia," Judge Morris warned. "No, let her talk," Sonia sneered. "Tell everyone how perfect you are, how you've never made mistakes. Should we discuss what really happened when we were younger, the real reason your mother left?" "Don't," Lara called from the gallery. "Sonia, please." But Sonia was on a roll. Sweet little Vivian. Always the hero. Did you tell them about the fire? About what you did? The room went silent. Judge Morris leaned forward. What fire? I closed my eyes, feeling 16 again. I set her bedroom on fire, I admitted. After she locked Lara in the closet for 2 days. I wanted her to feel trapped too. See? Sonia pointed triumphantly. She's dangerous. I was a child, I said quietly, trying to protect my sister the only way I knew how. Now I'm an adult, trying to protect Mia the right way. Through the law. Judge Morris studied me for a long moment. Mr. Davidson, how did you obtain this security footage? I installed cameras after my wife died, Reed explained, to keep my daughters safe. I never expected to catch something like this. And you're willing to testify that this footage is authentic? Yes, Your Honor. The judge nodded slowly. I've seen enough. Given the evidence of ongoing neglect, attempted burglary, and witness testimony, I'm granting temporary emergency custody to Ms. Garcia, pending a full investigation. Sonia lunged forward. You can't. I can, and I am. Judge Morris's voice cut through the chaos. Ms. Olson, your visitation rights will be supervised until you complete parenting classes and substance abuse counseling. This isn't over, Sonia hissed at me. You're right, I replied. It's just beginning. As bailiffs escorted Sonia out, I felt Lara's arms around me. Reed stood nearby, a small smile on his face. We did it, Nadine said, gathering her files. But she's right. This isn't over. The real work starts now. I nodded, watching Sonia's retreating figure. The truth about the fire was out, but somehow I felt lighter. Sometimes the past needs to burn for the future to grow from the ashes. Let's go get Mia, I said. She's waited long enough for someone to choose her first. Picking Mia up from school felt different this time. She stood on the steps, clutching her backpack, eyes wide as I approached with the court paperwork in hand. Is it real? She whispered. The principal said I'm coming home with you? It's real. I knelt to her level. But only if that's what you want. She threw herself into my arms, her small body shaking. Other parents stared, but I didn't care. What about my stuff? She asked against my shoulder. We'll get it tomorrow. Right now, let's go home. The word felt strange, hopeful and terrifying all at once. As we walked to the car, Reed and Sophie waited by their vehicle. Surprise! Sophie bounced on her toes. Dad said we could have a sleepover to celebrate. Mia looked up at me, uncertain. Can we? Of course. I smiled at Reed. But first, we need to get some essentials. The trip to Target felt like a dream. Mia clutched the shopping cart as we filled it with necessities. New pajamas, toiletries, school supplies. Sophie helped her pick out bright bedding covered in stars. Look, Mia held up a purple toothbrush. It matches your bathroom. My throat tightened. She'd been planning this, hoping for it. Reed appeared with pizza rolls and ice cream. Every new home needs junk food. And this. Sophie added a string of fairy lights to the cart. For when it feels scary at night, Mia's smile faltered. What if Mom comes? She can't, I assured her. The judge made sure of that. But, hey, Reed interrupted gently. Remember those cameras at my house? They watch your new home too. You're safe. At the checkout, Mia stared at the total. That's so much money. Don't worry about that. I swiped my card. You're worth every penny. Back home, our home now, Sophie helped Mia set up her room while Reed and I made dinner. The kitchen felt alive with voices and laughter. This is nice, Reed said quietly, chopping vegetables. Seeing them both so happy. It is. I paused, listening to the girls giggle upstairs. Thank you for the security footage. It made a difference. I installed those cameras after Maria died, he admitted. Kept seeing threats everywhere. Turns out I wasn't paranoid enough. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Lara's text made my blood freeze. Sonia's doing interviews. Turn on the news. Reed grabbed the remote. There she was, perfectly posed on the local news, playing the victim. They've torn my family apart, she sobbed. My own niece, who I practically raised, stealing my daughter. That's not true, Mia appeared in the doorway, trembling. She didn't raise anybody. I quickly turned off the TV. Hey, it's okay. She can't hurt us with lies. But people will believe her. Some might, Reed said, pulling out his phone, but not for long. Sophie, bring your tablet down here. The girls gathered around as Reed pulled up social media. Neighbours were already commenting on Sonia's interview, sharing their own stories. Remember when she left Mia at the bus stop for 3 hours? How about the time she showed up drunk to the school play? I've been giving Mia lunch money all semester. See? Sophie nudged Mia. Everyone knows the truth. My phone buzzed again. Nadine this time. Sonia's interviews might actually help us. She's contradicting her court testimony. Keep recording everything. The evening settled into a gentle rhythm. We made pizza, built a blanket fort in the living room, and watched movies until both girls fell asleep. I should get Sophie home, Reed whispered, but made no move to leave. Stay, I found myself saying. There's room in the fort, he smiled, trying to create more evidence for Sonia's cameras. Let her watch. I looked at Mia, peaceful in sleep. Let her see what a real family looks like. A noise outside made us both tense. Reed checked his phone. The security app showed Sonia's car driving past, slow and menacing. Third time tonight, he muttered. She's trying to scare us. Is it working? I watched Mia snuggle closer to Sophie, their hands clasped even in sleep. No, not anymore. Reed's hand found mine in the dim light. Good, because tomorrow's another battle. What do you mean? School called. Sonia's trying to get Mia transferred out of district. I squeezed his hand. She won't win. No, he agreed. She won't. Outside, Sonia's car passed again, headlights sweeping across the windows. But inside our blanket fort, wrapped in new star-covered blankets, and the warmth of friendship becoming something more, we were untouchable. The war wasn't over, but tonight we had peace. Tonight, we had home. The final custody hearing arrived too quickly and not soon enough. 3 months of supervised visits, therapy sessions, and Sonia's escalating behaviour had led to this moment. All rise, the bailiff called. Judge Morris looked tired as she took her seat. The past months had brought weekly emergency motions from Sonia's lawyer. All denied. Before we begin, the judge announced, I've reviewed Dr. Palmer's psychological evaluations of all parties. Sonia straightened in her chair, wearing another expensive outfit. She'd been posting daily about her journey to wellness on social media, carefully crafted posts about recovery and motherhood. Ms. Olson, Judge Morris continued, your counsellor reports you've attended only 2 of 12 required sessions. I've been busy with work, Sonia protested. I'm trying to provide... By getting fired from 3 jobs, Nadine interrupted, presenting documents. Your Honour, Ms. Olson's employment records show a pattern of absences and inappropriate behaviour. Objection, Sonia's lawyer stood. My client's employment is not relevant. Overruled, Judge Morris reviewed the papers. This goes directly to stability and ability to provide. Nadine called her first witness, Mia's therapist. How is Mia adjusting? Nadine asked. Remarkably well, Dr. Roberts smiled. Her grades have improved, she's sleeping better, and she's forming healthy friendships. And her relationship with Ms. Garcia. Strong, nurturing, exactly what Mia needs. They've developed healthy boundaries and communication. Sonia's lawyer pounced. Isn't it true that Mia shows signs of alienation from her mother? No, Dr. Roberts said firmly. Mia's hesitation around her mother stems from past trauma, not current influence. The morning continued with more witnesses. Teachers described Mia's transformation from withdrawn to engaged. The custody supervisor detailed Sonia's erratic behaviour during visits. Then Nadine played her ace. Your Honour, we have new evidence. She handed over a USB drive. Security footage from last week. The courtroom screen flickered to life. There was Sonia, clearly intoxicated, trying to break into my house at 2 a.m. Mia's bedroom light came on. My voice called out through the security system. The police are on their way. Sonia on screen screamed, She's my daughter. You can't keep her from me. Then she threw a bottle at the camera. The current Sonia jumped up. That's edited. She's framing me. Sit down, Judge Morris ordered. Officer Brady, please approach. The responding officer testified about finding Sonia that night, her blood alcohol level, the threats she'd made. She said she'd burn the house down, Officer Brady reported. With everyone inside. The room went silent. I felt Reed's hand on my shoulder from the row behind me. Your Honor, Nadine said quietly, given Ms. Olson's history with fire-related threats. That was different, Sonia shrieked. Vivian's the one who set fires. Tell them about the closet, about what really happened that night. Judge Morris leaned forward. Ms. Olson, are you admitting to locking children in closets? Sonia's lawyer looked ready to faint. They deserved it. Sonia was losing control. Just like Mia deserves, like she needs discipline. You're all turning her against me. Remove Ms. Olson, Judge Morris ordered. As bailiffs approached, Sonia grabbed her water glass and threw it, not at me, but at Mia, who sat with her therapist in the back. Reed moved faster than I thought possible, shielding Mia as glass shattered. The room erupted in chaos. Order! Judge Morris's gavel cracked like thunder. Ms. Olson, you are held in contempt. Officer Brady, take her into custody. As they dragged Sonia out, she screamed, You'll never be her mother, never! Court will recess for 15 minutes, Judge Morris announced. I rushed to Mia, but she was already wrapped in Reed's arms, surprisingly calm. I'm okay, she said. I knew she couldn't really hurt me anymore. How? I asked, checking her for cuts despite her protests. Mia looked at Reed, then me. Because now I have real parents. The words hit like a tidal wave. Reed's eyes met mine, full of something we hadn't dared name yet. When court resumed, Sonia was absent, but her lawyer remained, looking defeated. Judge Morris didn't waste time. Given the evidence presented, including today's disturbing display, I'm awarding full permanent custody to Ms. Garcia, with no visitation rights for Ms. Olson until completion of extensive psychiatric treatment. The words took a moment to sink in. Full custody. Permanent. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm granting Ms. Garcia's petition to begin adoption proceedings. Mia launched herself into my arms. Behind us, Reed and Sophie cheered. Even Nadine wiped away tears. It's real, Mia whispered, just like that first day at school. Forever. Forever, I promised, holding her close. No more looking back. Through the courthouse windows, I saw Sonia being led to a police car. She'd chosen her path long ago. Now we were choosing ours, together. The adoption paperwork sat on my kitchen table, waiting for the final signatures. Mia traced her fingers over the words petition for adoption, while Sophie bounced excitedly beside her. After this, you'll really be cousins, Reed said, setting down hot chocolate for both girls. We already are, Sophie declared. The paper just makes it official. Lara arrived with a cake, the words, Welcome home forever, written in purple icing. Ready for the big moment? Almost. Mia bit her lip. Can I ask something first? Anything, I said. What if... She took a deep breath. What if Mom gets better, really better? The room went quiet. Through the window, I could see our reflection. All of us gathered around the table, a scene so different from those Sunday dinners at Sonia's. Then that would be good, I said carefully. But it wouldn't change this. You're my daughter now by choice and by love. And mine, Reed added softly. We all turned to look at him. He cleared his throat, pulling something from his pocket. Actually, I was going to wait, but maybe this is the perfect time. He placed a small box next to the adoption papers. If you both want it. My hands shook as I opened it. 2 rings. One sized for an adult, one for a child. Dad, Sophie squealed. You did it. You knew, I asked her. We both did, Mia admitted. We helped pick them out. Reed knelt beside our chairs. I know it's fast, but when you know, you know. We could be a real family, are all of us. We already are, Mia echoed Sophie's words. The papers just make it official. Lara wiped tears away, fumbling for her phone. Mom needs to see this. Mom! I turned surprised. You're talking to her? She called last week. Said watching Sonia made her realize some things. Lara shrugged. People can change if they want to badly enough. The doorbell rang. Nadine stood outside with the court clerk, looking professional but failing to hide her smile. "Ready to make this legal?" she asked. We gathered around the table, not just for signatures, but for a beginning. Mia signed first, her new name careful and proud. I signed next, then Reed and Sophie added their witnesses' signatures. "Now the rings?" Sophie asked impatiently. "Now the rings," Reed agreed. He slipped the smaller one onto Mia's finger, then held the other out to me. "What do you say? Ready to be a family on paper too?" "Yes," I whispered. "All of it. Yes." The clerk stamped the final papers while Lara cut the cake. Through the kitchen window, I saw a familiar car drive past. Sonia, keeping her court-mandated distance. But this time Mia didn't flinch. She was too busy showing her ring to Sophie, planning their now-official shared bedroom decorations. "She'll be okay," Reed murmured, following my gaze. "Better than okay." "I know." I squeezed his hand. "Because she has all of us." Nadine raised her hot chocolate. "To new beginnings?" "To family," Mia corrected. "The kind you choose. And fight for," I added. "And build together," Reed finished. Outside, Sonia's car disappeared around the corner. Maybe someday she'd find her way back to herself. Maybe she'd get the help she needed. But that wasn't our story anymore. Our story was here, in this kitchen filled with laughter, in Sophie and Mia's matching rings, in Reed's arm around my waist, in the adoption papers that made official what our hearts already knew. "Mom!" Mia's voice was strong and sure. "Can we have a sleepover in the living room? All of us?" "With the fairy lights," Sophie added. "With everything," I promised. Later, surrounded by blankets and twinkling lights, I watched our daughters whisper and giggle themselves to sleep. Reed traced patterns on my hand, our rings catching the soft light. "No regrets?" he asked. I thought about the long road here, the court battles, the late-night fears, the moments of doubt. Then I looked at Mia's peaceful face, at Sophie's protective arm around her sister, at the family we'd built from broken pieces. "Not one," I said. The security cameras blinked quietly, guarding our peace. But we didn't need them anymore. Our strength wasn't in locks or laws or distance. It was in these moments, these choices, these bonds we'd forged in fire and love. Mia stirred slightly. "Love you, Mom," she mumbled. "Love you too, sweetie," I whispered. "Forever." "Forever," Reed echoed, pulling us closer. Outside, the world kept turning, but in our blanket fort, under fairy lights and promises, we were already home. This was our victory, not over Sonia, but for ourselves, for the family we chose, the love we built, and the future we would write together one day at a time, 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 one day at a time.